It is called Manhunt 2, and we must warn you, there is nothing about this that is not disturbing.
What is a thing that every gamer hates? There are quite a lot of things out there, but one thing I hate is that some games got censored in the region where I live. Sometimes entire cutscenes were deleted,
Jesus Christ!
altered logos, and the list goes on and on. This video will dive into an interesting topic where I will explore censored and banned games in Australia.
I'm picking up some hot readings on the ESRB.
Because it's Christmas season, I thought this would be a great way to make you feel a bit warmer. I need to say that this chart is quite interesting and I want to explain it to you. What I found fascinating about this chart are the reasons why are some games banned. This chart will be quite fun, I promise you. Also, do I need to say that this video will feature mature themes? But I think that's obvious. Now, to not waste any time, let me explain you this awesome Iceberg chart about censored and banned games in Australia. Also, this is part 1 and there will be 2 follow-up videos to this series. Again, it's hard to find enough time to make a long format video on a weekly basis. But what important is that you are here and I thank you so much for this and I hope you will enjoy this video. Manhunt 1 and 2.
It is called Manhunt 2, and we must warn you, there is nothing about this that is not disturbing. Manhunt 2 allows gamers to take on the role of a mental institution escapee. You actually do the stabbing. So you grab the knife, you are over your victim, plunging the knife into the victim as you play the game.
Oh, that's brutal.
The first layer starts with the most obvious game out there, and if you're a fan of gory and obscure games, you probably know about this game. It's really obvious why Manhunt is on the list. The game faced many obstacles when it was released.
At one point, his hero uses a sickle to rip out a man's skull and an axe to hack at a police officer.
It is some of the most horrific, senselessly violent stuff you've ever seen.
If the game's title doesn't tip off what are you doing in the game, let me explain it to you. The game features some quite disturbing scenes, where the kills you perform would look like snuff films. Because of this, the game is switching also the camera perspective. Snuff films, if you didn't know, are real life videos about murdering and torturing people. Uncle YouTube will love this video. So please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because the algorithm will hate me about all the things I will say tonight. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. The game is also about being chased by a mentally ill guy with a big mask and a chainsaw. And I think being chased by such a guy isn't perhaps everybody's favorite pastime activity. And also you will try to stick syringes into someone's neck. Not only that, but you will be also visiting strip clubs. And because of this, the game had many obstacles to overcome to be released in Australia, but also everywhere else. By the way, I forgot you can even choke somebody with a plastic bag. Just imagine your tombstone where it's written "choked by a grocery bag." At the end, the Classification Review Board has voted 3-1 to ban this violent video game, following an application by the Federal Attorney General at the request of the Western Australian Minister of Justice. The Classification Review Board said that the game was just simply too violent to be released in Australia.
They're after you. You're the prey in a deadly game. Manhunt.
To the next one.
Bless me, Father, for I have really sinned.
What the?
Really? I'm not kidding here. Big sinner. Yep.
Did you drop an offering in the box?
Yes.
Then you are forgiven, my son. Next!
Thanks.
Postal II is the obvious second choice, a game that can be described almost like a GTA game, but with much more freedom. You can do everything you imagine in this game, from lighting candles to flowering plants and many other crimes against NPCs.
Where's the milk?
It's on the damn list.
Don't put you on a damn list.
this game is completely blocked from Steam in Germany. The same thing is in Australia, but if I'm correct, only the expansion Share the Pain was banned in Australia due to high impact violence. Also, I think I need to add that Uzbekistan, and I hope I pronounced that right, the game was banned due to the government believing it distorted national values and threatened stability. I mean, how did they mean that? I mean, in which way? I am completely confused about this, but I thought it was funny and I also wanted to share it with you. But yes, Postal 2 is extremely everything. It's over the top in almost any sense, and I think the game wanted just to be as controversial as possible, just to be covered in the media.
Jeez, pull your pants up.
And it succeeded. Everyone who is just a bit familiar with the game knows how the game is morbid, crude, dark, but also sarcastic.
Holy shit! Prepare to die, infidels! Come out, my peaceful brethren. It's time to deliver an ass-whooping of biblical proportions. It's go time.
South Park, the stick of the truth.
You entered douchebag, is that correct? Shut up! Who the fuck are you?
South Park is quite known for its dark humor. I think I rewatched the first 19 seasons like 3 times, but I'm not the only one who enjoys South Park.
Ow, me.
By the way, I'm also really close to doing a huge Iceberg chart on South Park. But anyway, let's focus on Stick of the Truth.
I'll do it. Jews can't be saviors, remember?
And why it was censored. Besides the Nazi zombies, from the classes you can choose to perform abortions.
What the? Wow, never seen that before. You burned out the vacuum.
Or just simply the most famous scene out there, the anal probe.
Jesus Christ! Oh, can we try the big silver one again? Oh.
A quite funny or unsettling scene, depends on your humor. I don't want to explain this scene to you, but the game was immediately banned because of this scene. Eventually the game was released with certain scenes removed. South Park is and will be always just South Park. What else is there to say?
I'm picking up some hot readings on the ESRB.
Saints Row 4.
You mean outside this simulated city?
Yes.
Well, 'cause I'm already there, and I can't really be there if I'm already there. You know what I mean?
Are you high?
Yeah?
Saints Row has a drug problem, yet the game was banned before it was censored to fit the standards of the industry in Australia. It received a 15+ mature rating. The game got backlash because of the alien narcotic
I never get to just sit down and relax.
and a weapon called the alien anal probe.
I bet she has tampons.
In the cleaned up version of Saints Row 4, they also cut up the mission where you score and puff on some alien narcotics. These space drugs were supposed to give you super cool powers and boost your game skill, similar like to Postal where you can smoke a pipe and snort catnip. For obvious reasons, Australian government wasn't so thrilled about drugs giving you superpowers. The board thought that the game was a bit too trigger happy with drug perks, saying it felt too much like a real deal with rewards and all of that. Their report claimed there wasn't enough distinction between these sci-fi space drugs and the hardcore stuff you will find in the real world, so no alien narcotics for you in the approved version. Plain and simple. Hatred.
My name is not important. What is important is what I'm going to do.
I remember when this game was launched. Like Postal, it was mostly criticized because of its high impact violence. Hatred is kind of an interesting game that we covered like few times on this channel, especially in the first tier of the disturbing Iceberg chart, I think. Anyway, like Manhunt, this game is still banned to this day in Australia. The reason is that the protagonist goes on a genocide crusade trying to kill as many civilians as possible. Just the perfect ingredient for a game to have an easy launch. The only purpose of the game is to try to cause as much mayhem as possible. This is quite a morbid game. Again, the game's violence is just over the top. I read somewhere that it reflects the world we live in. I could only say that the game tried to reflect the world we live in, even if we are going through some rough times. The game simply does not get the point across. I mean, it's very obvious that hatred is banned to this day in Australia.
I can feel their pain, their suffering flowing through my veins.
The Punisher.
Then you decided to crash Bobby's funeral. Most people crash parties. You crash funerals.
But I guess funerals are kind of like parties for you, right, Frank?
You have no idea what funerals are like for me.
It's the Punisher!
Punisher is a very interesting and good game. It's definitely violent. And you know what that means. The game got mixed reviews simply because the folks weren't too jazzed about the sound effects and thought that the gameplay was a bit dull. But on the flip side, they gave a thumbs up to the whole torture system, the storyline and the crazy amount of violence packed in. You heard me right, there is a torture system.
Talk to me, punk.
Let me go, man. I just joined the Luchas yesterday.
Woohoo, again, something just great to see in a video game. Alright, buckle up for this one. As I said, there are gruesome torture scenes and gory moments that almost got the game an adult only rating. And you know that's a kind of a big no-no for Xbox and PlayStation, because a AO rating means that the game can't be sold locally in stores. They had to tweak a few things, like adding a black and white filter to the interrogation scenes.
Want to live longer? Come with me and tell your buddies to toss their weapons.
Forget it.
Just fire.
To tone down the shock factor that moved the rating down to a acceptable mature rating. Over in the UK, the game was a bit more censored just to get it a mature rating, but not without a bit of editing magic. But because UK wasn't so thrilled about the game, neither was Australia. The ACB asked for some cuts, even cutting 2 scenes altogether. And in Germany, well, let's just say it landed on, and I quote, media harmful to young persons, end quote, list. Talking about a wild ride throughout the ESRB rating system.
Time to call it a night. New York City never changes. No one catches you when you fall.
Mortal Kombat.
And I'm taking you down, I'm taking you down, I'm taking you out, I'm taking you out, and I'm taking you out for dinner.
Ugh.
The next one on the chart is Mortal Kombat. Yeah, the first layer are the more obvious choices, but that's like how every Iceberg chart works. But don't worry, it will get more obscure and more disgusting as we dive deeper.
He is the protector of Earthrealm, the god of thunder. Look, I don't know what kind of role-playing you guys are into, but count me out.
Alright, here is the rundown on the situation on Mortal Kombat. The very nice folk in Australia turned this game down twice in 2011, but the story doesn't simply end there. Fast forward a few years and guess what, Mortal Kombat Complete Edition did finally get a green light with a 18+ rating for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The mature 18+ rating for video games was introduced in Australia on January 2013, enabling publishers of previously banned games to resubmit those games for consideration under the new guidelines. The success of Mortal Kombat Complete Edition opened a few doors for more publishers of previously refused titles to try their luck once again. And let's go to the next one.
Now where'd that hottie go?
Fallout 3. So apparently Fallout 3 was censored in Australia. Why, you ask? Well, this was a bit obvious when I think about it, because they had a drug problem. I mean, the government had a drug problem. No, fuck. The government had a drug problem with the drugs used in the game. Yes, now it's correct.
Do you know the best contraceptive for old people is nudity?
So I dug up an article from 2008 that explains this situation quickly and simple. So I quote, "All the drugs in Australian games are now only referred as chems, short for chemicals, and are presented using stylized that do not show the drug itself or how it's used. Versions of the game available in other areas will be presented as they were originally intended." So this entry is quite simple. So let's move to Left 4 Dead.
I once visited a crematorium that gave discounts for burn victims.
Left 4 Dead 2. The censored version of Left 4 Dead 2 had many things that the Australian government didn't like. Gore, dismemberment, blood splashing, and enemies that could be set ablaze with a Molotov cocktail. So they had quite a big change to be released in Australia. They made the corpses disappear. The government had problems because even if the enemies in the game are looking like zombies, they do look familiar with humans. But it was later released as an uncut version along with the German version of the game. And this marks the end of the first video. I would recommend you check out the biggest gaming iceberg chart on YouTube, and remember, if you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. In time of recording this, I'm not quite sure if the next video will be about the worst YouTubers or the second part of this series. But I think that's less important. What important is that you stick to this part of the video, and I'm so grateful about that. Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next one. Bye.